It's time for Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquardt. Todd Marquardt, attorney at law in Texas. If you're a millionaire or a thousandaire, Talk Law Radio is now on the air. Call in with your business law question, your elder law question, veteran aid, Medicaid, build a business to get paid. 210-308-8867. Or ask a question online at marquardtlawfirm.com. That's MARQUARDT lawfirm.com. And now it's Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquardt.
Welcome to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt on KLUP 930, KSLR 630, KNTH 1070, and 103.3 FM in Houston. Today we're going to be talking about one of the most explosive terms in American politics right now, Christian nationalism. Doesn't that just blow your mind? Well, critics say it's a dangerous ideology that wants to turn America into a Christian theocracy and privilege one group above everyone else. Defenders say it's nothing more than Christians who believe faith should still shape public life and that our founding documents were soaked in Judeo-Christian principles. To help us sort that fact from rhetoric, we have two guests with very different perspectives. Stay tuned to find out who they are. But first, let's check in with Joseph Warren, who has the financial focus for us this week. Joseph acts as a financial CEO for Successful People and operates Financial Planning HQ with his father, Steve, and brother, Jacob. Welcome back to the show.
Really happy to be back. It seems like it's been a while.
Yeah, it has, because you rotate with Steve and Jacob, so we get to see you every 3 months.
Yep.
Tell us what we're going to be talking about today.
I wanted to talk about leaving a powerful, inspiring financial legacy for the next generation, for your kids and for your grandkids.
I love that. These are my two favorite topics, talking about leaving a legacy and then the next thing that you're going to say.
Yeah. So the Bible verse that comes to mind is Proverbs 13:22, which says, a good person leaves an inheritance for their children's children. Mm-hmm. And I know in the work that you've done, we've partnered for a while, that, you help people leave an inspiring legacy. You create that peace of mind in their families where they know things are taken care of. And you know this better than most. I've heard you describe a will, a trust, having those estate planning documents done as like a love letter to the next generation. So even after you pass away, and let me know if I'm butchering this.
No, I have said that it's an act of love.
It's an act of love, almost like a love letter. It's saying, this is exactly, I'm going to leave things better than they were. I'm going to leave you off in a better place than you were before. And I've seen both sides of that. Working as a financial planner, I know when you don't do any planning, especially with estate planning, it can lead to bitterness, confusion, hurt feelings, trauma really in the family, and fighting.
Well, I'm going to break up your idea here just a little bit, Joseph. Yeah. I had a client whose father had 5 children. Yeah. He left his entire brokerage account to the daughter who took care of him. And, of course, the other 4 hated her for that.
Yeah. It can create it's a very traumatic experience when someone passes away, but when you add to that, splitting up money, you want it to be clear. And it is an act of love, and it is a lot more than just the documents. So a trust is a powerful legal document. It's a great tool, but even more than that, what it gives you is peace of mind and the priceless feeling of knowing my family's going to be taken care of no matter what. And what I want to frame is that a financial plan, a comprehensive written lifetime financial strategy, is a good tool as well.
It'll do the same thing, peace of mind. That's what Chris was telling us last week, your client.
Yeah, it'll do the exact same thing. It gives you that peace of mind. But even further than that, it helps you make good decisions with your money so you can grow your wealth, which is great. But it takes it even further. It gives you clarity that you're making the right decision. So you're not having to worry or waste mental bandwidth or, instead of being at your grandkids' baseball game thinking about the markets, you're able to truly be in the moment and truly be present in those critical moments with family.
Yeah, this is Joseph Warren with Financial Planning HQ. And he's talking to us about how he can help you have peace of mind with a written, lifetime, comprehensive financial strategy. I always get the words out of order, but it's just
very descriptive. But yeah, but it's also that peace of mind, but it goes even deeper than that. So we're talking about a good person leaves an inheritance for their children's children. Your kids are not going to remember what you say. I have many stories about this where I learned deep lessons from my family, and I'm going to go into some of them a little bit later. But it's not because they told me, it's because I was watching their example. So they're going to watch the decisions you make with your money. And when you work through a strategy and everything's perfectly coordinated, you have a tax strategy, everything's protected, you set these big financial goals and you're achieving them, your family's watching that, and that's going to become their blueprint for money. And I think that's even more important than the money that you leave them, right? Because we've seen or you work in estate planning, I'm sure you've seen where you leave people a lot of money and they kind of squander it.
All.
They don't value it. But if you teach your kids and you build that character and you give them the wisdom and they can follow your example, that's a totally different level where even if you leave them a little bit of money, they could build it up to something big.
It's surprising to hear all this talk about values from a financial planner.
Yeah.
I'm used to financial planners just saying, save your money so that I can invest it, and then you watch it grow.
Yeah.
They don't talk about values.
Yeah, I think we start there with a very personalized approach, and it's based on what's important to you. So it's not one size fits all advice. It really is personalized. Mm-hmm. It's comprehensive. So we have those descriptive words because it does take into account, and we want to perfectly coordinate minimizing taxes, making sure your investments are growing, making sure you're on track for your goals, everything's protected.
And all of these plans, tax, investment, legal, they're all written plans.
Yep, it's written, and the peace of mind is I know I have a plan for that. So like if inflation goes to 7% and stays there forever, I have a plan for what to do in that situation. If there's a market crash next year, I have a plan for what to do. So I'm not scrambling and making mistakes, because a lot of people make mistakes in situations like that. A lot of people also get rich during situations like that. So we have a plan for everything that could happen, every risk, but also for making sure that you achieve what you want to achieve. That's the main thing. But the point I want to make is, the coordination is perfect. It really is helpful, and we know it's a great tool, but it really is something that's more powerful, that it is leaving a legacy for your children, because they are watching, and your grandchildren as well. I remember the first time I was on your radio show, I talked about my grandma.
I remember.
One of the sweetest ladies I ever known. And when I was a teenager, we all go through that stage where we're bratty, we're not listening. I was outside kicking a soccer ball, and she said, "You need to come inside." And I kind of didn't like the way she said it, so I kicked it in her direction, didn't want to hurt her. And it ended up hitting her in her face.
Wow.
And I remember her getting red, angry. She took a deep breath and just calmly said, "You need to come inside." And I knew she had every right to be mad at me, and she didn't. I'm sure there's many times when I was growing up when she said, "You need to be kind, you need to be kind." But when I need to be kind and I have every right to be mad, I think about that.
Right.
And was something that stuck with me and helped me to be a more empathetic, kind person. Same with my dad. He always told me to work hard. It's something that he instilled in our family. But the example of him working hard, spending his free time doing trainings, things like that, is something that I always remember when I feel like I want to be lazy or I feel like I want to give up on something.
Right.
I think about that, and it's much more than, I can't remember when he said, I'm sure he did say work hard, but I don't remember that. I remember him actually doing it. So if you're someone who likes taking action on things, likes to make things happen, I really encourage you to give me a call at 210-444-2128. That's 210-444-2128. I know a lot of people have the intention of making good decisions with their money. A lot of people talk about, I want to leave a good legacy. But if you're really serious about taking action, you should give us a call, because we will create a strategy for you that will help you to make better decisions. And that's going to put you in a better financial place, yes, but it's also going to be really something that could set your family up in a better direction for years to come.
Well, I'm a fan of written plans.
Yes.
Because I do written estate plans.
Yeah.
And so When I'm planning for the weekend, though,
Yeah.
I don't necessarily write down my plans for the weekend.
Yeah.
And come Monday morning, people ask me, what'd you do this weekend? Oh, yeah, well, I was supposed to do this and I forgot.
Yep.
So if you have a written plan, you're not forgetting all the great ideas and strategies that you had.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you know nothing's getting missed. You know exactly what needs to get done. This is a proverb. It's not like a biblical proverb, but man makes a plan and God laughs. So we take into account the fact that the world, there's no perfect plan.
I think that is in the Bible.
Is it?
Tell us where it is. Post a comment.
Pull it up. We take into account, the world, things are constantly changing. The market is very unpredictable. There's a lot of uncertainty in the world.
Definitely.
But with all that, we look at your situation and we will tell you, very clearly if you're on or off track for your goals, what to do to get on track. Mm-hmm. What are the next 3 actions you need to take that are going to put you in an 80% better position than you are right now? Specifically, and by what date do they need to get done? And then it becomes very black and white. Am I taking the actions I need to take to make a better financial situation, or am I not?
I remember in 2008, I had a handful of random clients that when the market crashed, they took all their investments out.
Yeah.
Well, that probably wasn't the thing to do, but even so, start where you are and figure out how to get back to where you need to be.
We've all made financial mistakes or things we wish we had done. I know of a lot of, I wish I had put more money into this investment and things like that. But part of it is having a plan, because market crashes are part of the normal financial cycle. So if you have a plan for what to do if it happens, then you can take the emotions out of it and just execute when it happens.
Plan.
Yeah.
Thank you for giving us the financial focus this week. I like that idea of leaving an inheritance to my children's children. Give Joseph a call.
210-444-2128. That's 210-444-2128.
See you next time. We're going to take a break. Are you confident about your financial future? What if you had a clear financial roadmap and a team holding you accountable to make the best financial decisions no matter what? At Financial Planning HQ, Steve and his sons, Joseph and Jacob, have been helping San Antonio families since 1987 with inspiring, intelligent financial strategies. Whether it's achieving or maintaining financial independence, becoming more tax efficient, or building business wealth, we create a comprehensive, written lifetime financial strategy that's uniquely yours, based entirely on what's important to you. Don't leave your financial future to chance. Call Financial Planning HQ today at 210-685-2722. That's 210-685-2722. And take the first step towards financial clarity. That's Financial Planning HQ, inspiring financial strategies for San Antonio. Remember, 210-685-2722. Estate planning is about love, not money. It's one of the most thoughtful things you can do for the people you care about. I'm attorney Todd Marquardt, and I help families prepare for the unexpected so they can avoid court, avoid confusion, and avoid conflict. Whether you're starting from scratch or updating an old plan, I'll walk you through it. Get started with a free consultation. Call 210-530-4278 or visit marquardtlawfirm.com. Do it before you die. Is Christian nationalism a dangerous threat to the Constitution? Or is it just a smear campaign against millions of Americans who simply want to live their faith in public life? That's what we're going to be talking about this segment. And we have a guest who's going to be calling into the show. His name is Greg Young. Greg, you're live on the air. Welcome to Talk Law Radio.
Hey, Todd. Great to be with you tonight. Thanks so much for having me.
You're welcome. I want to give some biographical information about Pastor Young. He oversees a ministry in India serving the lower caste, where they have put in over 80 freshwater wells, established 6 sewing schools for widows, 12 literacy schools, and monthly food provisions for widows and orphans. While sharing how God used him to save his daughter's life in a catastrophic car accident, which was caused by a man in a truck that pulled out in front of him and his daughter, and he threw himself from the passenger seat over to the driver's seat to become his daughter's airbag, breaking 38 bones. After 17 surgeries in over 5 days, he had died 4 times. Welcome to the show, Pastor Young.
It's great to be with you, Todd. Again, thanks so much for having me on, and I'm excited to talk about this topic with you. It's an important one. It's especially in light of what just recently happened with another attempted assassination of the President of the United States.
Yeah, that was the White House dinner, right?
Yes, the White House Correspondents' Dinner in Washington, D.C., and fortunately they were able to stop that shooter, but it's not the first time that they've made an attempt to assassinate this president. This is the 3rd attempt to assassinate President Trump.
Yeah, so let's get some feedback from you on this topic specifically. How would you define Christian nationalism in your own words?
Christian nationalism, in my estimation, is the belief, number one, that the United States of America was founded as a Christian nation. I believe that it's stated in our Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and that they are endowed with inalienable rights by their Creator. It's also, I identified, I believe, in our Constitution with the First Amendment, which speaks to the freedom of religion. And it means that we want to see the biblical values that have made our country great reestablished in our nation and adhered to.
And so do you think that we're establishing a Christian religion? Do you think that that would be against the Constitution?
I think that for the federal government to establish a singular church is the exact opposite of what our founding fathers intended. Our founders, in fact, looked back to the Pilgrims and their migration here to America, to the New World, in order to be able to have religious freedom. And if you take note of the historical founding of each of the original 13 colonies, each one of them had their own distinct expression. They were all Christian, but they all had their own distinct expression of how that was to be, how they worshipped and what their tenets were.
Let me introduce you to somebody else, Pastor Young. Shannon Salmon is with me on the show too, and so I want to give her an opportunity to ask you a question about Christian nationalism. The historical facts, that was part of my outline, so thank you for anticipating that, Pastor Young. Shannon, do you have any follow-up questions?
Pastor Young, it's so nice to meet you in this format. Thank you for your service that you're doing. You sound like a fascinating person. I was a little confused when you said that we are a Christian nation, because it seemed like your follow-up was the opposite of that. So you did point out that our founders, that we believe that we are endowed with inalienable rights, but then you were talking about the First Amendment and our protections. So they're specifically saying that there shall be no establishment of a religion. What do you mean that we're a Christian nation?
Sure. So, first of all, when our founders introduced the Constitution, we need to understand, and the legal precedent for that really was created by our first Supreme Court and by the first Chief Justice of our Supreme Court, John Jay, who specifically identifies that we were in fact created as a Christian nation. In fact, this is his quote: "Providence has given to our people the choice of their rulers, and it is the duty as well as the privilege and interest of our Christian nation to select and prefer Christians for their rulers."
So if he has the right to do that because our Constitution protects his right to have freedom of religion, him as a person living underneath our Constitution, how that doesn't make us a Christian nation is my point. I kind of feel like we're on the same page a little bit, but I'm just trying to flesh out why you're saying we're a Christian nation when all the history that you're pointing to is saying that we were not established as a Christian nation. We were established as a place where Christians are free to practice their religion as they choose. But the government will not be establishing a religion and forcing a religion on anyone. Hindus are free. Jewish people are free.
Well, let me ask another question.
Let me interject to that, Todd, if I might. So when we began the process, what I said is that the federal government was restricted from creating a federal church, which is what we broke away from when we moved away from the Church of England.
Okay.
Yeah,
if
we
you
would
look
all.
at the constitutions. Yeah, if you look at the constitutions, though, of the original 13 colonies, every single one of them in the state constitution actually had Christianity, a belief in God, and many of them specifically a relationship with Jesus Christ as a qualification in order to serve in those state governments.
Let me switch gears because I want to get to this point, Pastor Young. In Dearborn, Michigan, there are schools that will allow Muslim students to have a special meal. They fast during their religious season, and so the cafeteria sends them home with special food at the end of the day so that they can have something to eat since they skipped lunch. And so do you think that it's okay to accommodate other religions like that?
Well, there's a more significant question that I think needs to be addressed, specifically when it comes to the issue of Islam, and that is whether or not we identify Islam as a religion or as a political ideology. Islam identifies itself as a political ideology. In fact, in their schools, in their 7th grade curriculum, they say, we are not a religion. We are an ideology. And not only are we an ideology, but we are a dominant authoritarian ideology, which says that there can be no other belief system. And we see that not just in 1,400 years of history, but we see that in the areas such as portions of Dearborn that you're talking about,
right,
that have specifically stated that they exclude any other religious practice.
Well, let me ask about a different religion then. Let's say the Jewish students, can they have accommodations for their religious holidays? Or does that go against what the Christian nationalist agenda calls for?
No, in fact, one of the reasons that John Adams and Thomas Jefferson, in their quotes, when they speak about Christianity as the underlying foundation of our country, the purpose for that is so that these other beliefs and other belief systems would have the opportunity, and individuals could have the opportunity to believe what they want. Christianity, at its base, says that all men have sinned and fall short of the glory of God, and that God, a loving God, sent his Son, Jesus Christ, to die for our sins and to pay the price that we cannot pay. It is a choice that is left to each individual to decide whether or not to accept God's offer of his Son, Jesus Christ. And subsequently, the only way that we really are going to see evil defeated is to see sin conquered, and sin's conquered in our individual lives.
You're a great pastor.
And through him only.
You got your message out, but we got to take a break. I'll talk to you later.
Okay. You bet. Bye-bye.
Welcome back to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt. Here with me today is Shannon Salmon.
Howdy.
Yeah, and it's been a while since
Yeah.
you've been on the show. The people miss you. Post a comment
They
if
were
you
clamoring
miss
for me.
Shannon Salmon. The shows are just way more fun when I have somebody else to talk to rather than just saying what I think.
Yeah.
You've been doing a lot in the community to get out the vote.
Woo, have I been busy.
There's a runoff election that
Yeah.
people probably don't know about.
Yeah,
They
there's
probably,
two right now, actually. If you want to go vote for school board, it'll be May 2nd, but the early vote is going on right now, I believe. Please forgive me, it hasn't been on my radar that much, because I'm on the ballot myself. So if you go out and vote May 26th, you'll see my last name on the ballot.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And so you've been trying to remind people that
Yeah.
there's a runoff.
I've been out there, yeah. Young people are not super interested in voting, you would be surprised to know. They're pretty disenfranchised, but I've been going to the college campuses, I've been at Northwest Vista, UTSA, SAC.
Well, that's a strong word for apathy, don't you think?
I guess no. I like disenfranchised better because we've given them a reason, So apathy is it's such a negative, like they should care and they don't. But as our political system is pretty broken, so I can see why young people might check out or not feel like it's a good way to change the world.
Well, Joseph was talking in the first segment about parents that serve as a good example for their children.
Yeah.
And so maybe their parents didn't vote.
I don't know. I've been really, really, really upset about this issue. In fact, I've even gotten into debate. Good news, they're very thoughtful and kind people. Really cool generation. And they'll talk to me and share their thoughts, and we'll debate and debate and debate, and we'll get to this point where I'll end up, well, don't you love America? And you're not going to believe me. I'm about to break your heart. They look me and they say, Miss, no, we don't love America.
That's awful.
I know, it's really, I think.
Ronald Reagan's rolling over in his
Yes,
grave
he's
right
turning
now.
over right now. Yeah. But then someone pointed out to me, you have to think about the world they grew up in. Okay. If you were 21 right now, think about each president you would have lived through. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So you've seen nothing but divisive, hateful politics. That's your whole world. You don't remember this time when we used to disagree respectfully and still value each other as a human.
Yeah, that's right.
Now it's just you disagree with me, so you're evil. You got to go, know.
Right. Well, we do want to have a disagreement about something else.
Yes.
Coming up.
Yeah. I'm not convinced we disagree, though.
Yeah.
I mean.
Well, we'll find out.
Okay.
Christian nationalism.
Yeah.
What is it?
Yeah. And what are you a Christian? I have my own separate podcast right here in my head, and my thumbnail right now is Todd a Christian nationalist? And it's got me going like that.
Well, I would say no, because I don't know where it is.
Yeah. But you could be something and not know it. I mean, it's happened before.
There's no Christian nationalism political party or organization.
There's not?
The only instance of Christian nationalism that I found was Marjorie Taylor Greene
Yeah.
was quoted in 2022 as saying that she was
Proudly declaring, yeah.
a Christian nationalist,
Well,
or
that
that she
would be-
believed those things.
So that's the tip of the iceberg that you found, and then the part that is connected to that is that, yeah, that the whole party.
So is that?
Wait, I'm not done. The
Okay.
whole party has been tied to a religion. So the Republican Party has tied themselves to Christianity, and they're trying to say that they're one and the same.
So. I don't think that there's.
They literally.
It's not. I don't think that's on the platform.
He posted a picture of himself as Jesus from the White House account.
Well, that's just one person. And even though he is the head of the Republican Party as the president, I don't think that anything's been written down that says that all of those things. But
well, okay.
assuming that he is trying to make that happen, I just wanted to point out that there's no organization for it. I mean,
a memo didn't go out.
Oh, what I wanted to bring up was in the past there were Christian conservatives, there was the moral right.
Okay.
And so isn't this just another way for people that don't have conservative views to sort of suppress the conservatives by trying to say that their beliefs are wrong?
I don't want to talk about terms of like conservative or liberal,
Okay.
because conservative is a very valid point. You're a conservative and you have really valid points.
Mm-hmm.
You know, smaller government, less spending, family values.
Free markets.
Yeah, these are great things. Like
Mm-hmm.
I respect your decision to.
Well, thank you very much.
You can think that, these are valid points, and these points are not destroying America necessarily, but the tying, the use of something as big as a creator, Jesus, images of Jesus, and God, like the creator of the world, to bring that down and tie it to a political party. It's shocking that Christians go along with this.
Well, I don't think that we can lump all Christians into that, because one of my friends, she's a very faithful Christian.
Oh, I like her very much. Melody, is that her name?
Yeah, she disagrees with her faith being tied to a political party.
Yeah, I remember her.
Her faith is in Jesus alone and doesn't want to get entangled into worldly affairs. And so I don't think that everybody can be categorized as one thing or another. Some Christians are conservative. Some of them may want I did find some definitions for Christian nationalism. And one was the belief that we should recognize the United States of America as a Christian nation and support efforts to make that even more visible.
Wow. Okay,
So
I could go along with that definition.
But
yeah.
not every Christian needs for that to happen. They've got their faith, and they don't need for it to be tied to a country or a state or
well, here's what I run into,
ideology.
because I have a lot of Christian friends, and here's what I run into. And Pastor Young was saying we're a Christian nation. And if he'd let me talk for a minute, what I would want to push back with is, no, we're clearly not a Christian nation. We were not established as a Christian nation. And that's okay. That doesn't have to challenge your faith.
Mm-hmm.
And it's even better. It's a little harder to explain, and you have to read a little bit of the Constitution and know history a tiny, tiny bit. But it's even better if you can believe that. And also, as a Christian, you're supposed to respect all other people. So
Right.
You wouldn't want a religion shoved down somebody's throat. So it's even better that we have a country that does not establish, we're not a Christian nation, so it doesn't establish Christianity, as we weren't established on that. It's not part of our Constitution. It specifically says that it's not to be part of our Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
It's not part of our makeup of who we are. And my points that I was going to point out, of course, is what are the two parts in the Constitution about how Congress shall establish no laws.
Right.
There shall be no religious test. Point us back to our history when we had the colonies where there was forced church attendance and you could be punished for that. And we've literally decided that we're not going to do that. We don't want to live in that type of society anymore. And then, of course, the thing I always talk about George Washington's letter to the Jews in 1790, when the Jewish congregation was saying, are we safe here? Are you going to drive us out? And he said, no, clearly no. I mean, he said it in a way we used to talk, hundreds of years ago, but he clearly said, no, you are safe. Everybody is safe here. The stock of Abraham shall rest, under, he said it very beautifully and flowery. But one thing I'll give you, Todd, okay, am I running out of time?
No, we're good.
One thing I'll give you. So if I was, picturing how I was going to counteract this argument that we're a Christian nation, I will give you this. It says inalienable rights, right?
Right.
So that part, and I love that part too, because we are established on the idea that government is not established by a man that is like a god on earth. So everything before us, the king claimed to have divine authority.
Right.
So we as citizens, we're not subject to man. So you're free to have your relationship directly with God. It's inalienable. I wish they had used a different word that was more easily understood by young people, our society today.
Well, they talked
everybody
about the natural rights.
Yeah, let's call it that. I like that better.
Right.
Yeah.
It exists for everyone, regardless of
Right. It just
government.
Is.
Right.
Yeah. So you don't have to go through a man
nature.
to get it.
So I do want to talk in the next segment about the supposed wall of separation between church and state.
Okay.
And it comes from two places. In 1644, Roger Williams, the founder of Rhode Island and the First Baptist Church of America, called for a wall or hedge of separation between the secular world and sacred church. He believed that mixing the two would cause both to become corrupt. And everybody knows the other one. President Jefferson immortalized the phrase in a letter to the Danbury Baptist Association. Concerning about their status as a religious minority, the Baptist community penned a letter to the president expressing fear about religious persecution. He responded, emphasizing the First Amendment's free exercise and establishment clauses together built a wall of separation between church and state.
Okay.
So we got to take a break. We got to end it there. I'll give Shannon a minute to
gather my arguments up again. Ding,
and
ding,
then
ding.
We'll continue talking about Christian nationalism. Is that good or bad? We'll find out. Are you 100% confident that no matter what happens in the financial markets, economy, or world events, you will achieve your financial goals? If not, we have a process to get your financial house in perfect order and keep it that way forever. Your financial future shouldn't be a guessing game. Planning, advice, organization, and accountability are deliverables you should expect. For over 35 years, Financial Planning HQ has been San Antonio's trusted partner for comprehensive written lifetime financial strategies. Steve and his team, including sons Joseph and Jacob, don't believe in a one-size-fits-all approach. Instead, they create a personalized financial roadmap for you based on what's important to you. As an independent registered investment advisor, they're not tied to any big corporation's products. They work for you, creating inspiring, intelligent financial strategies that put your interest first. Call Financial Planning HQ at 210-685-2722. That's 210-685-2722. Estate planning is about love, not money. It's one of the most thoughtful things you can do for the people you care about. I'm attorney Todd Marquardt, and I help families prepare for the unexpected so they can avoid court, avoid confusion, and avoid conflict. Whether you're starting from scratch or updating an old plan, I'll walk you through it. Get started with a free consultation. Call 210-530-4278 or visit marquardtlawfirm.com. Do it before you die. Welcome back to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt, on the radio, on Facebook, on podcasts everywhere, on YouTube, and on talklawradio.com. Here with me today is Shannon Salmon. We've been talking about Christian nationalism. Is it a bad thing? Is it a good thing? Is it going to destroy America, or is it just a smear campaign to suppress Christians? What do you think? Before you answer that, there's a national organization of separation of church and state.
Yeah.
And one of their tenets argues that Christian nationalism seeks to privilege white Christian symbols and policies. And so I did hear that in other places, symbols. Can Christian symbols somehow be elevated in the United States because it's what called a Christian nation? And so I wanted to ask you about that. What Christian symbols do we see even nowadays? I mean, before people were called Christian nationalists, that you would just see in the public square. Christmas trees?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so during Christmas time, we talked about this. There was a court case, the reindeer rule.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That said that you can have Christian symbols as long as there's other symbols in there that are secular or neutral or are put there by other religions as well.
Yeah, yeah. Makes sense.
So nowadays we would see a Christmas tree with the Jewish candle holder.
Uh-huh.
What do you call that?
Yeah, the menorah.
Menorah.
Uh-huh.
And the reason they called it the reindeer rule is because you could have a Christmas tree if you had reindeer and Santa Claus and other things.
Doesn't that violate your right? Okay, let's pretend you're a judge. You're a judge over here downtown, and you want to put up a Christmas tree because you're a Christian. Don't you have a right to do that?
I think
you're making good points.
Yeah, everybody should put up whatever they want, I guess.
But then if a litigant goes in there and they see the Christmas tree, so then they're not Christian and they think, oh, am I going to get a fair shake in here?
Well, I don't like the idea that I would have to suppress my religious beliefs. And so that new court case that you were telling me about it.
Oh, the one about
Mahmoud versus Taylor.
Wasn't that interesting?
Well, you know the facts.
Yeah.
Tell us.
Okay, Professor. So it's from Maryland, and it was 2025, and there was why do I want to use the word ordinance? They probably had a better word for that. But they were going to be teaching kindergartners through 5th grade, and they wanted to incorporate LGBTQ textbooks. So issues that were, more teaching kids about LGBTQ issues, but they had to give the parents an option to opt out. If for religious reasons they didn't want their children learning about, this curriculum, then they could sign a form and, I'm sure they had several fiery school board meetings about it, right? But the overwhelming majority of the parents opted out. So the school district decided, well, this isn't feasible. We're not going to allow the opt-out option anymore. Right. And that's when the parents sued, and it went all the way up to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court said, we do grant this injunction, so we are not going to, you are not forced to have your child learn this curriculum if you don't want that for your child. And it was based on religious reasons. Right, because the court said that parents could raise up their kids teaching them the family religion, and that the school had no right to disrupt that. Yeah, pretty much, in a nutshell. See, you'd be a great Supreme Court. What we were talking about before, if I was a judge, would I want to have a cross on the wall? Yes. Yeah. And I wouldn't want to suppress my own religious beliefs to
to satisfy the separation of church and state, I think.
You have a choice. I mean, you can choose not to be in the government, you know.
Well, but I'm not going to give up my constitutional rights no matter what job I have.
But
And I think this case helps to prove or to support the idea that you can still believe, whether it's Christianity or Judaism or Islam, and
you need to
hold whatever job you have.
Okay, but I have a little pushback on that. One thing I want to say is I was talking to my friend that's a real churchgoer, and she didn't know what LGBTQ was, so I wanted to say it real quick. It's an acronym for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer questioning. And so that's just a fast way of saying that. There's even some other letters that are added on later, but that doesn't roll off the tongues.
And I don't think the argument has to be only religious for not teaching children about those types of things. I mean, we don't teach children that about heterosexual relationships, when they're in grade school.
Well, because it's just everywhere. I mean, that's very acceptable in the mainstream. So every textbook would be heterosexual. Like every single one is going to be based on
let's
that.
Let's get back to...
Well, talk about what the pastor said about when he was trying to say that Islam was not a religion.
Right. If you missed Pastor Greg Young in the second segment, we were talking about another case. I was asking him about in the Michigan Dearborn area public schools, they make accommodations for halal meals for Islam students.
Yeah.
And I didn't get an answer to the question about whether it's okay to accommodate Islam, if we're going to accommodate Christianity, having Christmas trees and Christmas holidays.
Right.
What I wish he would have said is that in recent years or decades, I think the government and certain political parties have been suppressing Christian accommodations. Like at school, they don't call it Christmas break anymore. They call it winter festival break. They try not to use Christian words because they didn't want it to be religious. They want it to be secular.
Okay.
So instead of Easter, they call it something else. Spring festival, spring weekend, I don't remember.
Okay. But if we're talking about people's constitutional rights, and if you have a right to not have religion established by your government,
but then this school goes on a limb and says we're going to accommodate Islamic students and their halal meals and their Islamic religious holidays.
Yeah.
But do they give equal consideration to Christianity? At that school.
Right. What would the Constitution say about that? And you need to clarify, too, that you don't agree with his statement on... I mean, I guess I shouldn't back you into a corner like that, but he did say something pretty inflammatory.
Yeah, so I was shocked.
Yeah.
I've never heard that perspective before. He said that Islam wasn't a religion, it was an ideology.
Yeah, I had not heard that
I
either.
guess what the radio business daddy would say is the views of our guests.
Yes, thank you. I need some of that too, please. Put that all over me.
The host and the guest.
Yes.
So yeah, I just thought this was really interesting because I've never heard of it. Another thing Pastor Young alluded to was that the Islamic community in that part of the state is higher than other populations.
Oh,
and
okay.
I did read that when I was reading about this issue.
I loved your analysis of it because it is an excellent way to kind of flesh out this issue. Because, yeah, if you believe in the Constitution, then you have to apply it to, I mean, part of your rights are that you have to, I don't want to use the word tolerate, but yeah, the Constitution is going to apply even when it's ideas you don't agree with.
Well, what we're talking about is accommodation versus establishment.
Yeah, good
and
point.
So some people would say in Dearborn, Michigan, it appears as though they have established a religion. Islam is being favored above Christianity. I don't know that for a fact. I haven't been there. I haven't studied the school calendar.
No, I bet if you go over there, you'll find people that say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's part of this process. You know, the courts are always having to analyze these questions.
And I appreciate you having a civil conversation with me about it, but we only have a minute left.
Okay.
So is there anything else that we should say in less than a minute about this issue of Christian nationalism? Do we know what it is yet?
Yeah, I think some people have forgotten our history, or they don't know history, and they don't know the Constitution. So they think that we should have Christianity established as a religion and that everybody should be a Christian. And, you know, these are lovely people in their personal lives, but I think they've got like a flawed philosophy, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for people like my family that are mixed faith. And if they really, really thought about it, I don't think they really want to live in a theocracy. They want to live with the freedoms we have under our Constitution, where you're free to practice your religion or not.
Because it could swing the other way.
Because it could swing the other way, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't think you're a Christian nationalist.
Yay! This is Talk Law Radio. We gotta see you later.
Oh,
Have
bye.
a good day.
Thanks for listening.